Okay, mama. You the first on. Ian, what's good, man? Showcase, man. Great job with the showcase. Everything's good here, man. Trying to stay out the way. No doubt. Just DM me your size and what color you want. Welcome to another episode of the Positive Impact Podcast, where we talk about all topics relevant to the game I love. I am your host, Terrell Dozier, and tonight's guest on episode 51 of the Positive Impact Podcast is former LSU great legend, Coach Randy Livingston. Randy,
What's up, fam?
how are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, we all good, man. We all good, man. Appreciate you coming on here with me tonight. I really appreciate it.
No worries.
So, first question is always, man, how's everything going with you down there? How you and your family doing with this pandemic?
No, all is well. We kind of hunkered down early and kind of, made that, safety first. That's always hopefully with everybody's family,
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we all got families. We all got, kids and loved ones. And, we just kind of bunkered down in the house and just kind of, go out as needed. I've been a little bit more busy basketball wise, but for the most part, yeah, we kind of keeping it safety first, man.
Nah,
How
no
about
doubt.
you up there, man? How you doing?
We all right, man. I think up here in New York, we taking it kind of slow up here, in different parts of the state. So I'm on Long Island, so we're kind of taking it slow, and me and my family are just, like whatever step that they're at, we trying to stay 2 steps behind and, just trying to be as precautious as possible, man. So like you said, safety first, family first, man. Just down here knocking out these episodes and talking to people and learning during this pandemic.
Nah, man, you're doing a great job. So I saw part of the Tyrus Thomas interview, and just you keep up the great work. It's good to be able to share. Sharing is caring, and sharing is love, man. So
Absolutely, I appreciate that. So let's get into Randy Livingston at an early age, man. Who put the basketball in your hand, and how did you develop a love for the game?
Yeah, it's really my thing with basketball at an early age was very simple. I just wanted to be better than Big Brother. At the end of the day, if you could be better than Big Brother, you always felt like you were doing something. But to be honest, football was my first love, and I was very good at that at an early age. And then, basketball just kind of took over, man. When I first started playing, I couldn't really dribble. My brother was better. You know, I tried to be better than him. My coaches, you know, they said they didn't really see a future in basketball when I was younger. But at the end of the day, I just kept working. And once the love of the game was there, you know, the desire was there. And I, like, to this day, people that really know me, that grew up with me, know that football was my first love. But basketball, I got better so fast, so quick, and just kept going that, you know, it was just that love grew and grew and grew. But it wasn't love at first sight, put it like that. But I just kept working at it.
No question, man. So obviously, when you said, like, you got better quickly, you know what I mean, it showed in high school. So here on the show, obviously, you and I are just meeting for the first time. I don't know how humble you are, but here I give credit where credit is due. You understand? So don't feel uncomfortable when I start throwing things out there that you might not feel comfortable with. My audience and myself, we give love to where love needs to be. So don't get uncomfortable on me. So, you know, you grew up in the projects. You understand what I'm saying? But you went to a private school. You know what I mean? So really quickly, talk about, okay, I'm around a certain type of people every day. I grew up a certain way. Yep. But then when I go to high school, I'm with people, you know, I'm with other kids who grew up a lot differently than I did. So talk about how you were able to, you know, to kind of switch over, kind of turn that switch off, man, and make, you know, Isidore Newman a good situation for you.
Both worlds. I you know, where I grew up in the Callio projects, you know, everybody know it from Master P. I grew up with the Cash Money guys. We were kind of all close. And so for me, going home was way different than when I was in high school. But I got lucky. Like, it was some steps to it. I said I was good in football. I went to John Curtis Christian High School, who's won about 30 state championships first. And then that was a little step up from the public schools and where I grew up with. And then when I went to Newman, there's a whole different social class of everything. It was just a whole different world. So I would go home to the projects, hang with my brothers and my siblings, and, you know, see all of my boys that I grew up with. That was a whole different world. And then when I left from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock at school, I mean, I was in the highest of highest society and being, you know, mingling with people that you knew were going to be something just because family heritage and just the educational, you know, advantage that they had. So it was really, really a unique situation for me. But then also, like, I went from high school basketball where, you know, you would have some pretty good teams, but then AAU in the summer. So it was like whole different worlds, you know, always intermingling. But I got the best of best. I enjoyed it, and it was a great experience. It kind of got me ready for the real world.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I mean, for the illustrious career that you had at Newman, and we'll get into that in a second, you might not be the most popular name to come out of Newman. You went to school with a couple good quarterbacks there at the time. You know what I'm saying? So you know, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning also went to Newman too, which I found interesting. Like, you always find stuff out when you're doing research on people. So
let's not forget Odell either. Beckham went to Newman too.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay, I didn't know that.
You're
you
crazy.
just hit me with a gem. Okay, Beckham too. Okay, no doubt about it. No doubt
now,
about it.
Now, but let me straighten you back out, right? So, if you have those four just right there, you're like, man, Newman's a powerhouse. Like, it's that, but it's a college preparatory school, man. Like, we're probably, you know, 4 athletes. There's some more that went pro. Omar Douglas, who played with the Giants a little bit, but like, all in all, it's not a big athletic powerhouse establishment. There's more known for academics. Probably one of the best academic institutions in the South. So from an athletic standpoint, and I always joke, I tell people this all the time, the Mannings are definitely a household name on the professional level, but I carried them in high school. They only got a state championship through me, through all of high school. And Eli was much younger, but Peyton got one, and Cooper Manning, who's the older brother, who has a son now, Arch, who's a stud. Football player. He got 2. So, you know, at the end of the day, yeah, I definitely did, you know, carry those guys in high school. I can say that that I was the man in high school. But, you know, they had incredible college and professional careers and high school careers. But, you know, I can say at the same time, yeah, I definitely had a bigger following and a bigger name than the Mannings. But they're my guys, though.
Yeah, nobody's gonna disagree with that. You know what I mean? So, junior year, co-player of the year nationally. We ain't talking about Louisiana player of the year. We talking about on a national level. You and Jason Kidd, who we know Jason Kidd was a problem in high school. And then your senior year, you get the player of the year over Stackhouse and Rasheed Wallace, two household names. So you were the man in high school. Like, you know, it is what it is. Street Smith All-American, any All-American list, Randy Livingston was on it. Randy Livingston was billed as the next great point guard. You had the size, the shooting ability, the handle, and the IQ. The IQ was the biggest thing for me when I remember you as a youngster. Like, you know what I mean? So talk about your development, you know, through high school to your senior year.
Well, once I got that bug, it was important. I mean, I'll go back a little bit. I mean, we played bitty basketball down here. I was center. I was big for my age. We lost in the championship game to Puerto Rican teams. Here's a funny thing. They both had a stash and a mustache and hair on their legs at 10 years old. So we played them. We lose. I was the center. That same summer, my coach said, look, man, if you're a center, you got to worry about somebody getting you the ball. If you're a point guard, you never have to worry about it. You control the game. So from that point on, I was kind of a point guard, and I worked on ball handling. I worked on how to be, you know, a professional point guard at a young age. And so what happened was AAU, I built up a name. And I say this, I mean, you said a lot there, but I'll put my prep, I mean, from ages 12 to 17, I'll put my resume against anybody. LeBron, whoever you want to say, I'll put it against anybody. A four-time National AAU Player of the Year, four-time National AAU Champion. We won BCI a year, so played a Riverside Church team up from New York. So, like, from that standpoint, I just kept getting better. I was hungry. I worked. My mom was working all day, so she was kind of the backbone. Like, I knew that I needed to, you know, do better for the family. So I was grinding, man, at a young age. And when I got to high school, I pretty much learned how I had the AAU game. I had all that athleticism. Then my high school coach was one of the best coaches all time. He taught me the game of terms of how fundamentally to be sound, which was a blessing in disguise because later on after the injuries, you know, I had to rely on that a great deal. And that allowed me to play 10 plus years in the NBA because I was fundamentally sound. And so, like I said, I had the best of both worlds. I mixed it up, but like I played against the best. I watched guys like Robert Pack, Dave Johnson. They were all younger than me. I even watched Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf when he was younger. You know, so I patterned my game after Magic was my idol, Larry Bird and Jordan. I was trying to be all of them in one. So I would go work on anything that they did great. I went and worked on it, man. And not only worked on it, I mastered it. And so, you know, Jason Kidd, I was, you know, a little disappointed. We never got to play against each other in high school. I went out to BCI West just to see if I could play against him because normally AAU, we stayed on this half and they were still on that half. But it never happened in high school. But I know he was a great player. But I would love, my game was very similar. I feel like I was a lot more athletic than him, closer to D-Wade type athleticism. And at the end, Derrick Rose, you know, those guys, a lot of people always tell me, you know, Derrick kind of reminded them of me. And so that's how my game was. And Rasheed and Stack, you know, we really talked about going to North Carolina together. And I know Jeff Touche wound up going with them. But, you know, the reason I didn't go is just because another New Yorker, Derek Phelps, was a point guard. These are just stories. And Dean was like, if I beat him out while we battling, I can start. And he was like, nah. You know, the freshman got to sit out. Even Jordan did. So I was like, you know, where I'm from, if you outwork a man, you should get it. And that was the only reason I didn't go to North Carolina. But to stay on your subject, man, basketball, I just loved it, man. And, like, I knew I had to be on top of my game every time I went out because I had a name since I was 13, 12 years old, and people were gunning. But I was never going to relinquish that throne. That was just my motto. So it didn't matter if it was Stackhouse, Rasheed, Jay Kidd. I was going to figure out a way to do my thing, man.
Okay.
That's just how I was.
Okay, and that's the attitude I need up on here tonight. Put the prep resume up against everybody. It is what it is. Like, you know, like it is what it is. Like, you know, you can say what you want. I'm not saying all time pro, whatever. I'm talking about from 9th grade to 12th grade, I'm putting it up against anybody, and the numbers don't lie. The people don't lie, and the streets don't lie at the end of the day. Everybody know what Randy Livingston was when he was in high school. So let's talk about the recruiting process. You said you would have went to North Carolina if you got a chance to play, as a freshman right away. But obviously you settled on LSU. What made you choose LSU?
Well, going back to North Carolina, that was my dream school. My mom, my room at my mom's house is still painted Carolina blue, got a jacket on. And so when that didn't happen, I kind of thought I needed a little bit different. Coach K and them sent Grant Hill down here to recruit. He had family down here. I had Michigan on the list and Kentucky.
Okay.
And basically what it came down to, I liked Coach Pitino at Kentucky and Billy Donovan. They recruited me hard. But I was pretty much, if I'm going to go to an SEC school, I might as well stay home. My brother was already in school up there. And what I really liked about Coach Brown after watching the Shaq and Mahmoods of the world, he was a player's coach. I was trying to get to the NBA. That was my goal. And so Coach let you go. He wasn't, and if you lost, he took the blame. If you won, he gave it all to the players. So that's one thing I always respected about Coach Brown at LSU. And it just came down. It was simple as that. Funny recruiting story. And like people always have these recruiting stories. So the day, I'm talking about this, right before my senior year of high school, I go to my mom before school start. And I'm like, look, at the end of the day, I'm ready to make my decision. I'm going to go to LSU. So she was like, all right, if you feel like that, let's give it a couple of days and then go. I mean, within 5 minutes later, ding, ling, 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 ding, ling, 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 phone call. Pitino and Billy Donovan. Hey, man, before you commit to LSU, come to Wildcat Lair and come to March Madness or the Midnight Madness show. And then if you still want to go there after that, then go. And I was like, Ma, you didn't call them, huh? Like, what's happening? And she was like, nope, I haven't talked to anybody since me and you talked about it. It was like the phone was tapped cheap. It was like they knew. It was like, man. And it was crazy how that happened. But, it was destiny. It was meant to be. I enjoyed it. LSU just was, it was what I was looking for in the school. I had like, okay, you got to remember what you said. You started to show up great. I went from hood, projects, LSU, playing that type of style. Then at Newman, playing a different type of style, mingling in the summer in AAU. Yeah. And then I needed a break from it. I was just like, you know what? I played one way. I just want to go be loose and play college basketball and be able to grow in a way and make mistakes and just let my game just shine bright. And then I had the perfect teammate. Ronnie Henderson was 2-guard. We both decided he was a bad boy. He was better than Ray Allen in high school. People have no idea how good Ronnie was, man. He was a bad boy.
I do.
And so, yeah, 2 big guards. I'm 6'4", he was 6'5". He could shoot it. He was athletic. I was athletic. And so it was perfect for us. It just, after going there, it just became a black cloud over all the whole program. Man. It was tough. That was tough.
So that's what I wanted to get into that because and you brought up Ronnie before I could. I spent the year down in Biloxi, Mississippi, and we ran into Murrah a couple of times down there. So I knew how Ronnie Henderson was and James Robinson and Jesse Pate. You know what I mean? Like so, I knew
Fellow Harrington.
Yeah,
they were tough.
I remember the athleticism of those guys down there. So you and Ronnie coming in, that was the backcourt of the future. So, one thing you and I have in common, and we'll get into this right now. You talk about the dark cloud and, the time that we came up in, and, you come off the Naismith Player of the Year as a senior, and before you could even get started at LSU, you tear your ACL. You know what I'm saying? I've torn my ACL twice. You know what I mean? It's a little different rehabbing. If it was today, you tore your ACL, you'd be back in 2 hours. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So talk about, like the disappointment of the ACL. You know what I mean? Like when it happened, like what was going through your mind when it happened? Because, the expectations were through the roof.
Yeah, it was a tough deal. I mean, I was at ABCD camp, And our job, as counselors, was to put Stephon Marbury and AI and them to sleep, make sure they're in the base, ready to go. And then at nighttime, we would play in front of the NBA scouts. And so, you know, I'll never forget that day. I was playing this game point. I'm guarding Sean Tarver, who went to UCLA. And we had everybody was out there was playing. And during that time. And he drove baseline left, pushed off, and my knee just got kind of planted in the ground and buckled. And to be honest with you, I finished that game. He didn't score. We finished the game, and then afterwards, my joint was just bothering me. And so I iced it a whole night, and I woke up in the morning, that thing was still warm, so I was like, no, that's not good. And so Sonny Vaccaro, great late Sonny Vaccaro, he's still here with us. He's one of the best. It's like, man, we need to send you back home. Let's call Coach Brown, see what's happening. And, man, I get back to New Orleans. A good buddy of mine who went to high school, his dad was a doctor. I meet him like 5 minutes from the airport. I go to his office. Man, he came and did the knee test and walked out of the door crying. I was like, oh, man, this ain't good. And so, you know, from that angle, Coach Brown called the great James Andrews. He did surgery, and, you know, that was the first time really I had been hurt since 9 and 10 years old, you know, not even my ankle sprain. So it was just one of those things, man. I had never heard of ACL. It's like buying a new car, right? And then you see everybody with it on the road. You think you got that hot one nobody don't got, and then everybody went and bought it. And then after a while, you know everybody is going through it. So it was it was tough because I was ready to go, man. I had got to this level. I was ready for NCAA. I was ready to see everybody. And so that's what happened. I actually rehabbed in 4 months, was back playing with the team. I'll never forget it happened the 4th of July. So 4th of July, 1993, it happened. And I was back practicing with the team 4 months later at LSU. But unfortunately, like Coach Brown was like, man, we're going to shut you down and you're going to redshirt your year. And so I did. And I probably that was probably as close as I got to athletically how I was before I got to the second year before college. I got close, man, but I just could never get over that hump or straightening my knee out. And if you had ACL, you know, getting it to zero is like that's the most important thing of just straightening your leg all the way out. You can bend it, that comes. So, you know, that's just the way that was. And so I redshirted that year, which was a tough year. That was my first time being away from the game. I mean, and forever. So that was a hard pill to swallow, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. So when you came back the next year and then, you know, like you talked about this black cloud, man, like, you know, so when you came back, like in Randy Livingston's opinion, from a 0 to 100%, what's the highest you felt like you really got back to at LSU?
I probably got back to 90, 95. I still didn't get to 0. And as I got closer, you know, I was good, but unfortunately, man, we was two things, and I can't really call when I got the next injury, but I was killing it. I was doing well, and then I had a car accident that, you know, I'm not sure if something happened in that. And then the next night we played UCLA on national TV, and that's when it kind of started happening again. They noticed I had they call it a stress reaction, but it was like a little stress fracture in my patella, in my kneecap. Like after that game, after the game started, I limped the whole game. It just never felt the same after that. But me being who I was at the time, I'm averaging 16 and 12. So I'm like, man, I got to get out of here. Like I done paid my dues. I done did the rehab. It's time to continue to play. We 5-0 in the SEC. I'm player of the week 2 of the 5 weeks. I'm averaging 20 and like 10 in SEC play. So it was like, you know, I go to see Dr. Andrews. He's like, you know, probably the only thing you can do is rest right now. And the only thing can happen is if it break all the way through, that'd be the best. But there ain't nothing we can do for you right now because the blood flow to the kneecap is limited. So, you know, as a young guy, and we're in that invincibility stage, we got to keep it pushing. We're trying to keep it moving. And so I decided to keep it moving, and we played the defending national championships on TV, and I fractured my kneecap in half. Now, the crazy thing about that, God was with me that night. It was my mom's first road game. She damn near sitting on the bench when it happened. So Dr. A sends the plane to come get me. We all go, and I have the second surgery, and that one was more crucial. The ACL, I think I would have eventually got back to where I needed to be. I think the medical science field was getting better, but the fracture patella was like old school surgery, man.
Yeah.
It was like I'm in a knee brace or like a sleeve for like 4 months.
Right.
You're gonna atrophy no matter what you try to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was a tough break. Now that I questioned everything. I was like, man, what the hell is going on? I didn't question God, but I just like, why is happening? Like, why?
Yeah.
Nah, like what's the point of this? Like, you know, where my career going from here
Yeah.
after that?
Yeah.
That was tough.
No
Real
doubt.
tough.
Nah, and like you said, man, like you can still see your 2 years at LSU, even with the injuries. You still see the glimpses of what were. So we ain't even get a 100% Randy Livingston in college, and we still getting 16 and 12, and then the next year we getting 10 and 8. Like I said, like because the IQ never goes nowhere, and that's when you said you had to come back and rely on the fundamentals that your coach taught you.
No
so
doubt.
this ain't never leave you. You understand what I'm saying? So
No.
I can still damn near lead the nation in assists, and I'm not even at 100%. So that's what people need to understand how good you were. You know what I mean? But we didn't get the 100%. We didn't get the experience, the Newman Randy Livingston at LSU. And so when you put those years at LSU together, how often did you carry that with you? Like it didn't go the way that it was supposed to. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people don't get to the level that you got to, and then you kind of like, damn, I didn't live up to that. So how long did you play to like, if this wouldn't have happened, then maybe, you know what I mean? Like how long did you beat yourself up a little bit?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, and this is where like I see the guys like Kevin Love and some of these guys dealing with a lot of mental health stuff. Like, man, there was a period of time, man, I was crazy depressed at LSU. I remember I get notes from Avery Johnson. He was still playing. He would send me notes from hotels, just like keep your head up, you know, everything's gonna work out, you know. But at the end of the day, it's only so much of that you take because you still had to go to school. After a while, I was like, man, I don't even want to go to class because everybody you walk by, man, you all right? You gonna ever play again? And you know what's going on? How's the injury? Like I'm talking about every 2 seconds. That was the question. So after a while, you kind of get tired of that. And I think had I did it my first time I got hurt with the ACL, maybe seen some type of psychiatrist or sports psychiatrist, and especially for sure after the second time, I think it would have been better. But like growing up, and this is, I guess, how we were as young black men growing up in the project, man, you was just taught to power through everything. When I see my mom work from 6 o'clock to 11 o'clock at night, you know what I'm saying? You just know to just keep ticking, keep powering on. And at the end of the day, things will come through. And eventually I did that, but getting some help through that would have been great because it was, it was tough, man. It just not so you got that going to class every day, people asking, then you see your comrades battling and you're not there. I mean, we go from 5-0 to SEC game, and win another SEC game in a year. And that's the type of impact that I had, but then not to be able to have that and to be able to help them out, it was tough to watch that. And then watch, you know, Ronnie still scored, but, you know, it just wasn't the same, man. It was, man, when I say dark cloud, it was real dark. And I was in a dark place, just not knowing, you know, what was going to happen. And that's what college ended off. And so Sonny comes back to me, you know, probably that third year I'm at LSU. I tried to play again, but it just wasn't right. So he was like, man, just rehab. If you want to, you can come out to LA. And I didn't want to do that because I wanted to keep my college eligibility. So what happened was I asked LSU, my grades was good. I had enough credits. Could I go to Birmingham where I had surgery and rehab? And, man, when they say no, that kind of threw me for a loop. Because it was like I just put my career on the line, and all I'm asking for y'all is just allow me to go rehab where I had surgery with no pressure and had the best in the business, Kevin Wilt, who's done Bo Jackson hip, he's done Drew Brees shoulder, he's done everybody. And so I just wanted that treatment, and I kind of felt disrespected when they didn't do it, and I kind of knew that was the end of my college career because then the rule came out you can put your name in the draft and not get an agent and come back to school. But once I put my name in the draft, I had made up my mind that I was going to make the best out of the situation. And so that's how I kind of dealt with it. It took a while. You know, still to this day, I get that question, you know, what would happen if you didn't get hurt? You know, and so, it's a hard one to deal with because part of me, like, you know, I dealt with the cards that was dealt to me. But at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, man, would I like to see myself play against J Kidd in the tournament,
Yeah.
play against Stephen, play against AI and them. You know,
Yeah.
all that I would have liked to see how that would have went. And so, you know, but that's life, right?
Yeah.
And I did make the best out of a tough situation.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, so you go second round to Houston in the draft.
Yeah.
So again, you know, if you would have came out of high school, you'd have been a lottery pick. Like that's just is what, like, you know what I mean? And
Yep.
so, but you still carved out a 10-year career in the league. Like, you know what I mean? So again, with all the disappointments that you faced, you still made it to the big show. You understand what I'm saying? Which
Yeah, no
which
doubt.
says a lot about your perseverance and how you're built. And you were still able to, you know, not carve out maybe the 10-year career that you thought you was going to have, but nevertheless a 10-year career in the NBA. So talk about, you know, being drafted in the second round and having to, you know, now work your way and how you had to like kind of like go back in the day, like you said, where you had that bug and now I got to work for everything I get. So
Yeah.
talk about that experience in the league.
Yeah, it's weird. I go two things. You said the right word, perseverance, and Coach Brown always said, if you look up the dictionary, you'll find my name next to perseverance. Yeah. My brother always, my older brother, he always said, man, you didn't have anything to prove. You had already made it, man. We made it out the Callio projects where my two best friends didn't live to see 30. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you know, it was like gravy. Like, so I go through all of the trauma, all of the craziness at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
It goes from fun to business very quick. Like, and as a kid, you know, you play AAU, it's fun, you doing your thing. And then draft night, the Nuggets, like, they had three first round picks, like 22, 26, and 29. I remember like yesterday. Me, Jeff McGinnis, Moochie Norris all went and worked out for those guys. It was a hell of a workout. And they were like, Rand, if you get back healthy and we talk to the doctors, they think you can, we'll take a chance on you without in our first round picks. So draft come, I'm like, okay, I got a shot. So 22nd pick, they pick somebody from overseas. The next pick, they pick somebody else. The third pick, they traded it to the second round. So at this point in the draft, I don't know where I'm going to go. Remember, it goes from fun to business. I'm like, oh, don't know. Second round come like 33, they pick Jeff McGinnis in the draft, right? So I'm like, at that point, you don't know where you're going to go. Yeah. And God was with me, man. Coach Rudy Tomjanovich called me. And he was like, man, how would you like to be a Rocket? That was the best sound ever. Not to know what was going to happen after the draft, right? So I'm like, man, I done been through all of this, and I still got drafted. And knowing I was probably 85 to 90% going into after the draft, I said, you know, man, I have a chance to play with the right care, professional care, and make a difference this year. I know Akeem Olajuwon on the team. So, okay, I can take that back. Go to the draft, you know, after that, we're going to have a press conference. So me, Othello Harrington, and Terrell Bell, who went to Georgia, all got drafted. We go to the press conference the next day. So O was the highest pick. I was next, and then Terrell was next. Press conference was great. Everything you ever dreamed about, right? To me, it was better than being in New York or wherever they had the draft. It was the best feeling in the world. Class of 96 is tremendous, too. Right. So I go. The GM at the time was Bob Weinhauer. I got to tell this story because all the young hoopers, all the guys, you just got to know. It's just business. I get there, go to the press conference. After the press conference, he comes and say, hey, young fella, we probably won't see you in the NBA this year. We're going to send you overseas and keep your rights. And I'm like, dang, high, low, right? I'm like, I go on the highs and low. I'm like, man, I'm not going over to Europe. I ain't thinking. He's like, but we want you around the team this summer, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, I go from that high, I go sit in my hotel room. I'm like, man, what is going on? I just got to get healthy. I'm going to prove it. I ain't going nowhere. Man, the next day, he gets fired. That GM gets fired. I go meet with Rudy Tomjanovich and Terrell Dozier, great GM. He was like, Rand, you out diamond in the rough. You ain't going nowhere. We're going to invest in you for a year. You're going to be with the team the whole year. So I was like, oh. I was like, man, I was like, that's the best news ever. Right. And I'm like, they don't know that I know I'm just 2 months away from being 100%. So I'm like knocking at the chumps. 2 hours later, they trade Kenny Smith, Sam Cassell, Robert Irwin for Charles Barkley. So there's no point guards on the roster. So, like, all that stuff I went through college sets the stage for that. So later on in free agency, they signed Brent Price. And then they signed 2 CBA guys, Emmanuel Davis, East Coast Philly guy, and Matt Maloney. His dad worked at Temple for Coach Chaney.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I can battle it out. I know I got this. I can battle it out. So I go into training camp. Man, I win the job in training camp. So you got to imagine, in a year's time, I go from not playing at LSU to playing with 3 of the best top 50 players all the time. Charles Barkley, Akeem Allard, Clyde Drexler. And with great veterans, Mario Elie, Kevin Willis. Like, I couldn't ask for a better thing. So, like, God bless me, man. That was like, it was like, okay, you've been through the fire. We know you can, persevere. Man, let's put you in a great situation. And that's how my pro career started. It went from fun, business, down again, then like, okay, the ball in your court with 3 future Hall of Famers. Come on, man. I couldn't ask for a better thing.
No
guess
question.
What the first preseason game was, T? In New Orleans against Avery Johnson and the Spurs.
Ooh.
And I'm starting. I win the job in training camp. I'm starting. Yeah, crazy. So that's how fortunes can change if you just stick with the, with the program and stick with it, man. And so that was that, man. That was like, man, you talk about high, and I'm only 5 hours from the crib.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was like, come on, man. Yeah, you couldn't ask for anything better. You couldn't even write that story up and dream it and trying to write a script for that. It was like amazing.
No question. So, you're talking about like the business of the game. You know what I mean? So through your 10-year career, what was probably, would you say, was like the biggest lesson that you learned during that time?
The biggest lesson, Avery Johnson told me, keep your bags packed, young fella. I think that was the biggest, that was like one of the biggest things. And I wound up being an NBA journeyman. He had been a journeyman. Robert Pack, another guy from New Orleans, had been a journeyman. Jaren Jackson, who I grew up 2 houses, had been a journeyman, but they all made it. Jaren Jackson won a ring. Avery won a ring with Timmy D and all those guys in San Antonio. So that message of keep your bags packed, I took it with me. After the Rocket thing the first year, and it was a great year, we lose to the Jazz. My motto was it was going to take all 30 teams to cut me to give up. You know what I'm saying? Or if I had another injury where I had knee surgery, I was going to shut it down. But it didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? So I got 10 plus years in, and that was kind of the biggest thing for me. The other thing, as you get older, taking care of your body was paramount. Clyde Drexler, he basically said, man, in the offseason, I just stay in shape. I don't touch the basketball, but I keep my body right. And that, as a professional athlete, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, you got to find a way to stay at the highest of level of shape, fitness, and keep your game ready, because you never know when fortunes can change.
Absolutely.
Those are big lessons as a professional athlete.
No question about it.
And
so,
the bat, I'll give you the bat. I got to give you the bat, too. You young guys, I know y'all love that PlayStation, all that stuff. Man, find something better to do with your time. When you become a pro, man, find something better to do with your time. Because at the end of the day, now they're getting paid gamers, right? So I get that. Some people make a living off that. You got esports, you got all stuff. But, man, look, there's so much better stuff to do with your time.
Right. No question about it. I like that.
I was an ultimate gamer. I gamed all night. That was my deal. I'm Madden to death. That was my football love, right?
Right. So let's go back to your IQ. And I touched on it earlier. I touched on it, how it carried you. I felt like at LSU when your game got, minimized because of the injuries. Yep. And now I want to take that IQ and I want to talk about how you transition from a player to a coach. You know what I mean? Because that's the one thing that a knee injury can't take from you. It can't take away your knowledge of the game and how you see the game. So as a point guard, you a coach on the floor anyway. So you've always been a coach. You know what I mean? You've always been the leading man on a team. So talk about how that IQ carried you from once you hung up your sneakers to now transitioning as a coach.
No, for sure. And for even young players and young coaches in the game, the players are only as good as the coaches, right? No matter how you do it. I had incredible coaching when I was young, from bitty basketball level, 9 and 10, to AAU, to high school. And then I played for some of the best coaches in the NBA. And so what I did was Down here, you know, we eat gumbo. I just mixed it all in, man. And I was a sponge. Like, people, and my son, man, I see it in him now, Junior. What happens is I watch so much basketball. And kids today, when I say watch it, I ain't talking about Sports Center watch either. I watch the games to try to figure out why guys were successful, why they got this dunk, but 2-3 plays ahead, 2-3 steps before the dunk happened, or before the nice pass, or before the pin down action. So I knew every nuance about the game because I watched it at an early age. And then, like, when I said, like, you know, I know New Yorkers go practice on games, right? And they go work on their ball handling stuff. When they see Kenny A do something, the guys go out and try to pattern it, right? So for me, Magic was my dude. So anything he did, man, I went out there and watched it. So I would watch all his games to see. Same thing with Mike. Same thing with Bird. Like, how Bird got open on pin down action. Like, how he set up things. Like, I knew that from the beginning. So when I played the point guard position, I knew what everybody on the court responsibility was, what the other team defensive responsibility was. So I always was 2-3 steps ahead and combat that. And so that was my secret. And like, and to tell you what, man, it's the greatest thing now. You know, I got a son, he's in the 7th grade. Man, I brought him around the game at an early age, and he loved it at an early age. But I just bring him around to sit on the bench and watch and see how the players move, how they talk, how they carry themselves, and now to see him start to, like, get it, and the game is so advanced for him, just watching, man. If any young kids today, man, if you can watch the game and watch why this happened. Don't watch the Sports Center highlight, because that ruins the kid, because now everybody thinks the game is just threes and dunks. And really, it's a lot more intricacies in it that before that happens, you got to be on top of it. And so that's the beauty of that. And I had great coaching, man. I really did. I had great coaching, and I survived off it, man. For all those years when I wasn't athletically the same, I was able to use my basketball IQ. Like, on a 10-day contract, you got 10 days to prove yourself, right? So I had to go in on day one and learn all the offenses for the Suns. I had one game 1 year with the Suns to prove that I belonged, and I got a 2-year deal out of it because I picked up the offense in that one practice. And so it's a beautiful thing when that all comes together. So IQ is extremely important, and all the great ones have it. Steve Nash, J. Kidd, Stockton, they all have it. Magic, they can see the game before it. Curry, you know, they all can see it. LeBron. Like, I love LeBron. People say a lot of stuff about him, but, like, man, I love LeBron because his IQ is so high. Like, I would love to have a round table with those type of guys, and, like, we probably talk all the same language. It's a code that you just know because your IQ is that high.
Yeah, that'd be a hell of a film study session with those minds right there. You know what I mean? Absolutely.
Yeah. And coaching, I didn't know, to be honest with you, T, because I was playing. I know towards the end, everybody kept saying all the last stops I played, you would be great. Sam Presti, the great Oklahoma City, he noticed it. He was like, Rand, man, you're going to be a great coach after you finish playing. But to be honest with you, I didn't know. Like, I just kind of, like, you know, you are who your mentors are, right? And my mentors were my bitty basketball coach, my high school coaches. And so it was no secret that now that I've gotten into it, I love it. I've tinkered in the pro game in the D-League. I tinkered in the college game. And to be honest with you, T, I love the level I'm at right now because I feel like it's a way where not only you can coach these young men up on the court, but you can have real relationships with them and have real impact with them. College is probably the last line probably of that, but in pro, there's really no impact. Guys trying to get paid and get out of there, and you can help them a little bit, but the relationship's not the same. But in high school, you can help a young man, and I got a young man on my high school team, Chris Lockett, who's a top player in the country in his class, but I can help him so much off the court and on the court that it's where I'm most impactful. So, you know, it's been great to settle into this, and I mean, I love giving back, man. I truly do.
Nah, no question about it. And I think it's a blessing. You know, you get to come back to your alma mater and coach. And I think for a kid like Chris, whatever Chris is doing now, and he's doing at a high level, coach already did it already. You understand what I'm saying? So that knowledge that you're giving to him, you got to respect it. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, a lot of kids don't think that OGs played the game before, but listen, my man, ain't nothing that Newman that's been done that I ain't done already. So, you know what I mean? Like, we got to say that. So as we get ready to wrap up, I want to hit you with some quick hitters,
Okay.
and kind of get into your head a little bit and say. So I want to start with high school, then I'm gonna go to college, and then I'm gonna get to the league with this question.
Perfect.
Toughest opponent in high school that you faced?
Oh, that's a tough one. You know what? Up there in Brooklyn Nets, we had some battles. Jock Vaughn was a pretty good point guard in high school. And so when we played against each other, he was always gunning to try to take my spot. So I know he was coming, but he always played. He was smart too. So he always played the game at a high level. And he was battled. We battled AAU one time. I got him. But like when we played in the Nike All-American game or played in the McDonald's All-American game, Jock was one of those guys who, you had to bring it.
No question about it. And so, who was your toughest opponent in college that you faced?
College, it's a good one. And he didn't even know he was that tough. But Antonio McDyess was a monster at Alabama, and he didn't even know it. He was like, man, after he had like a 35 and 20 rebound game against Big Country, he was like, man, should I go back to school? I was like, hell no. And but he was a monster. People don't understand how good he was. I mean, he was really good, and we got to play Alabama twice. So, I saw him a lot, but he was tough. He really was.
And then in the league, who kind of I don't want to talk about the toughest opponent, but who gave Randy Livingston that introduction to the NBA? Damn, I'm really here. You know what I'm saying? Who gave you that welcome to the NBA introduction?
Oh, your childhood idol. We played the Sacramento Kings the first game. Mahmoud Abdul in the building, and Rudy T and Charles and all of them said, you bet not go for where he do it between the legs and he throw the ball out there and bring it back.
You already know.
Bet not go for that. And sure enough, I went for it. He scored. But then the craziest thing, Rudy called a post-up play the next game, the next play down, so it was good. So I was able to get him back. And he was no match on the post down there. But, that he was high school. But also Tim Hardaway. Oh, my goodness. Killer crossover was something else. Tim Hardaway and Mookie Blaylock. Mookie Blaylock, from his defensive standpoint, it was hard to bring the ball up, man. He had some hell of a hand, some mitts. One time, he stole the ball from me, man. I didn't even know. He even landed up at the other end. That's how he was so good, man. But Tim Hardaway was good. On offense, he was great. Defense, you could go behind him, but he had Mutombo and PJ behind him, and they would wait till you shoot it and still tip it, and block it. So but Tim Hardaway was great, man. Killer crossover was sick.
Oh man, you brought up Mookie Blaylock. Jesus Lord, man. A lot of people don't know about Mookie. That took me back right there, Mookie Blaylock, man.
It was hard.
So, as a coach right now, let me make sure I ask this question right. If there was any game that you've watched that you would want to coach in, what would that game have been? So I always say the 1982 North Carolina Georgetown National Championship game. I would love to have coached in that game. You know what I mean? What is there a game that you watched? It's Jesus, I would love to have been the coach in that game for whatever reason.
Okay, that's a good question. I got two.
Okay.
The second UNLV Duke game when they lost.
Okay.
I would have liked to have coached the UNLV team because I wanted to see them win. That was a hell of a group. And seeing if you could have made a difference and made adjustments. And then the second game is, I won't even say game. I would have loved to coach Cleveland in any of the finals matchup versus the Warriors.
Okay.
So that was must TV for me. And I love LeBron, so I would have liked to see how, those adjustments were made. And the reason I say that, because I came from the minor league system, CBA, G League, and I've seen a guy like Nick Nurse have a lot of success. Dave Yeager have success. And all he did, especially in Toronto, was play minor league basketball. It was whoever had the mismatch, that's what they went at. And he just changed the lineups according to the game. And so, I feel like I'm in that minor league coaching fraternity. And so I would love to do that type of thing. So, yeah, that's my things. That's a good question.
All right. So we talked about your film study session, you know, some of the great point guard minds and stuff like that. This question I love to hear, man. I love to hear people's different answers. You get 3 people, dead or alive, and you invite them to dinner to pick their brain. Who would those individuals be?
First would be Pistol Pete.
Mm.
I'll bring him first. That's a tough one. And it doesn't have to be sports. It could be anything.
No, anybody. Yep, doesn't have to be sports.
Pistol Pete would still be in that at that round table.
Okay.
When you average 44 in college without a 3-point line, I gotta see what he was thinking. So that's one. Malcolm X would be the other. He'll be at that table, and one other. And probably, I'm a historian, so I'm just thinking. And he's alive, so I gotta say him, Obama.
Okay.
Them 3 will be at the table because they all represent something different. Obviously, Pete with the basketball, and obviously Malcolm for what he stood for. But then Obama, kind of what he really went through, because nobody still knows what he went through being at the White House. You know,
absolutely.
So those would be my 3.
No question. And so I got to ask this question too. And you're in a great position right now, you know, coaching your high school teams. But I want you to touch on the social injustice that we're going through in our country right now. And tell me, not only because, you know, you have a son, obviously, so you've had to have conversation with your son, obviously, but also talk about the conversations that you've had with your team surrounding this issue.
Well, obviously, when COVID hit, obviously we've been away, so I haven't had much time with that. But I think the most important message is, like, talking to my peers and my colleagues, the headmaster at Newman, and people in the community. It's an awakening. It's just for people of color, black people in general. And so for me, I think the message is important that we have amongst each other and also with whites. I think that's because it's a scary topic when they talk about it. Because if you ask most white people if they're racist, they're going to be like, no, I'm not racist. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be that defense mechanism, right? But at the end of the day, we have to educate them on, you know, what it is to be black in America, and then how they could truly help. Because it's going to take everybody in the struggle on all sides to really change. And like you can see, I know, you know, for a while there, it got really big with the rioting, some good, some bad. But at the end of the day, we can't let it die down. And so I think, you know, I have conversations with people that I've colleagues that I've coached with, and sometimes, man, it's so frustrating because they don't get it. You know, we have conversations, and I have to, like, almost, it's not refrain, but it's like try to figure out how to get them to understand. Yeah. And they get quiet when we talk about reparations, like it just goes silent, or they like, well, I wasn't around when slavery, why do I have to play reparations? Yeah. And you know, like, they don't understand all the social injustice, all the systemic oppression. They don't understand it because they're like, well, you know what I'm saying? You're in America, you have the right to become who you want. There's a lot of successful businessmen. What happened to them? My family wasn't rich when we were young, but I said, look, at the end of the day, just because of the color of your skin, you have an advantage over me. I said, I don't care. Whether it's from housing, whether it's from economic, you got an advantage no matter how you cut it. And so to get them to understand from that standpoint is important.
Yes.
And us, people of color and black people, African Americans, we got to stick together. And that's the only way the movement's going to move forward. But the one thing that is truly important to me personally is, okay, we've made some noise, we've made some headway. What's the plan? Like, we got to have a real plan. It can't just be, you know, we fighting with the NFL to, you know, play the black national anthem. Okay, that's cool. But what's the plan for the millions of African Americans to be able to have some equality? Like, what's that plan? And I'm always one for financial, like, until the financial gap is closed, you know, I think it's going to be issues. Money rules. I don't care what you say. That's the only way you can get a seat at the table is you got to have some money. You got to have some money. And if you don't have that, then it's kind of hard. And so we got to have a plan, you know, and whatever that plan is, you got to see it through no matter what the hurdles, no matter what you got to see it through. And I ain't talking about some of these, like I said, I'm just giving you examples. Owners throwing a little bit of money here and there to try to help the cause. No, I'm talking about housing. I'm talking about opportunity. I'm talking about real chances where it can lead to generations having success. That's important for the movement right now. Because we've had some movements before and they've died down. Anytime, whether it's Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and you got to realize that as soon as they start talking about financial equality, or they talking about monetary money, they get killed because they don't want to hear that. That's not what they want to hear. They just think about history. As soon as it changed, as long as Malcolm was doing his thing and then he went to Mecca, came back, and he's talking about, you know, getting our own thing and our own money. As soon as Martin Luther King started talking about money, they're done. Black Panthers, money, they're done. They kill that off. So we got to figure out a way to get that. And we got to be smarter about how we do it, too. We can't just talk it. We got to have a plan.
No question about it. Beautiful answer. I appreciate you opening up about that, man. So I got to say thank you, man. Again, man, like this conversation was everything that I thought it would be.
Appreciate it, too.
Nah, man, I appreciate you coming on, man, and giving us people that, you know, that look inside of Randy Livingston, man. I talked to a lot of people like, yo, who you got coming on tonight, man? And people were excited about this, man. So I appreciate you coming on and sharing, man. And you stay safe down there. Hopefully one day when this thing opens up, man, I'll get a chance to see you play, man. I mean, you know, see your team, see you coach your team, and we'll be in touch, man. I appreciate you.
Nah, definitely, man. I got a book coming out too. That's what I've done through COVID. 140 pages in right now, and you know, man, life is good. Just trying to keep it going, man.
Absolutely, man. Let us know, man. Let us know when that comes out.
Will do.
All right, baby.
All right, T.
Peace.